Hey guys, welcome back to Amazing Animals Inc. Today we are going to do something very different. We are just going to hang out here in our little office, and we posted on Facebook and on Instagram to ask us any questions that you have, and we are going to spend the next 10-15 minutes answering all your questions. You guys came up with some amazing questions.
Yeah, we got some really good questions to go over, so thank you guys who all posted it for us, and I'm going to go ahead and start us off here.
Let's get going.
This is from Jay, and his question was, what is Frank the Tank's favorite food? And that's a pretty easy one. He loves chicken. That is his favorite. I've tried fish. You would think an alligator snapping turtle, that's who Frank is, would eat a lot of fish naturally, but he loves chicken. So I give him some chunks of chicken, has to be chopped up for him a little bit.
Yep.
But he can crunch right through it and loves his chicken.
Yeah. And thank you, Jay. You've been here on a tour before, and
Yes.
your favorite animal is Frank the Tank, and we know that. Every time you post a picture of Frank the Tank, Jay comments. Thank you for your support, Jay. All right, so this next one here from Karen. Was there any animals that you've turned away and why? And yes, when we very first started out, we started out with reptiles, and we got really excited when we got our first bird, and then we got really excited when we got our first mammal, and then we bought this property 6.5 years ago, and we got real excited when we got a little bit bigger mammal and a bigger mammal, and now we have over 100 residents here, and unfortunately, we do have to turn animals away. This year, I think with COVID, we have gotten some amazing opportunities for some animals, and we can't take it all. We do have a network of facilities that we work with, and we do try to find a home for every animal from people that call us. But we have had to recently turn down servals. We've turned down a beaver, which would have been pretty awesome. We've turned down genets. We've turned down civets. I'm probably forgetting a couple. Cavies.
Yeah.
Quadamundis. Yeah, we've turned down a lot of animals in the past probably 5 to 6 months. And it's really because we have to look at how much time does it take for us to take care of the animal each day? How much does that animal cost? Do we have space and room? We actually have what we call a taxon decision tree, and it's what a lot of the big zoos use. We see what the conservation, the educational components to that animal are, and are we a good fit? Is that animal going to thrive for the rest of its life here with us? And are we able to teach people in a way that shines the animal on its best light? And if we don't have the space or the facility or the money to afford some of the animals, we will say no. But it's really hard, but it's the best decision for the animal. We see a lot of sanctuaries and facilities post, we just rescued this animal, now we need you to help us pay for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, wait a minute, that's a little backwards. You should already have the facilities and already have the habitat if you're going to take an animal, because where's that animal living in between times? So it's hard. We have to make a lot of decisions, and there's lots of factors that go into taking an animal. And some of these animals live 20 to 30 years, so it's a decision that's going to affect us for the next 20 to 30 years. So.
Yep. All right, next question is from Kathy, and she asks, how do the animals do in the Florida climate? Is there a way for them to cool down when it gets really hot? And what do we do when hurricanes come through?
And that's also from Kristen.
And Kristen. Okay.
Yeah, so some of your questions I compound. If you had two similar questions, I compound them so we're not kind of answering the same thing in different versions. So.
Gotcha. So Kathy and Kristen. I saw a couple asking what we do for hurricanes. So with the Florida climate, it's actually really nice for most of the animals. It's usually nice and warm and humid. We have a lot of animals from South America, so they love it. When it is really hot, you might notice on some of our other vlogs, we do a lot of like popsicle enrichment, water, different ways to help keep them cool. They all have exhibits built that has roof, so they have places to get out of any elements, so sun, rain, anything crazy like that. And then to go with that, when it gets a little colder too, we do have some of those cool nights. We have power all around the property, and heat lamps, and well, not really lamps, but heat pads built in so that they have warm areas to go, and we'll add extra blankets and hay and everything like that. And then for hurricanes, we have had a very active hurricane season, so we're definitely on top of watching the weather. If a big hurricane is coming directly towards us, we activate our emergency action plan, and the animals are all crate trained. So they will actually go into their crates, come into the house, we put up the hurricane shutters. We don't want any animals getting out or injured during the storm. So they ride out the storm in the house with us. Yes, it's smelly, and yes, it's loud, but it's all for their safety. And then, right after the storm's passed, we go out and assess, make sure all the exhibits held up well, no trees are down or anything crazy, and then we get them right back out. So luckily, we haven't had any hurricane issues this year. Thankfully, it is definitely a lot of work, very stressful, but we have a plan that we are able to do.
Yeah, and we have a plan for fire, tornado, hurricane, flood. We have a plan for everything, and you kind of practice the plan and you keep updating as new information comes out and new resources come out and new tools. We're constantly looking at our emergency plan, working with state officials. We go to conferences and network with other facilities and see, how do you do it? What do you do? How do you do? And we pick up little tips and tricks. So it's something that's constantly evolving. Yeah. All right, so this is one of the more popular questions. We got Tanya, Emma, Gemma, Julie, Rebecca. You all asked very close to the similar questions, and we get asked this almost every single tour that we do. What are some of the animals you would love to work with but have never had the chance to, or what are your favorite animals that you have? So favorite animals for me are easy. It's my sloths. I love, love, love my sloths. And what's an animal that you've always wanted here, or if we could have a dream animal here? I think it would be probably from Australia, and probably a koala is something that I think, something that really fits my personality. I love animals that you can get close to, you can handle, you can bring to people, and really get that amazing one-on-one guest experience. And I was lucky enough to hold a koala in Australia. So I think that is definitely an animal that I would love for us to have. Probably never going to happen, but a koala is way up there on my list.
Koalas would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys watched any of our vlogs, you probably know my favorite are cats. So my Joffrey's cats are probably my
Taz
favorite.
is photobombing us right now.
Like Taz. So we also have our bobcat and our Asian leopard cat. And to me, cats, they really make you work for the relationship that you have to build and earn with them, which I really enjoy. I like spending the time and building that trust and that relationship with those animals and having them trust me back in return. Some of our animals, they'll meet everyone and, like a dog. But cats, they make you work for it. So I really like that kind of, effort you got to put into it to get something back. So probably one of my top animals I'd love to work with that I haven't and would love to have here are really any cats, but I'd say cheetahs. Cheetahs are really, really cool. They seem like they have a really unique personality.
Yeah.
So I think a cheetah would be one of my top ones to work with, although red panda would be really close.
Well, I can't believe she actually didn't say red panda, but that's
it's
okay.
A really tough choice. I mean, snow leopard, there's so many cats too. There's just so many. But red pandas as well. If I didn't go with cat, I'd go with red panda because they're just, look at videos of them. They're adorable.
Red panda.
Oh, I love it. All right. Next question here is from Julie. And she said, I love seeing and hearing about all of the amazing animals at the sanctuary, but I've always been curious about the pet animals you have. I know I've seen some dogs and cats photobombing, which Taz just did.
We just had a Taz encounter here.
So how many dogs, cats, reptiles, other pets do you have, and any interesting facts or stories about them? So that's a great one. I love coming in the house and having my pets to snuggle as well. So we've got Taz is a husky mix that Brian rescued, what was that, like 10 years ago?
11.
No, because we were... It was,
11,
so
10 and a half
joke.
years ago.
I remember when Brian brought Taz home, we had just started dating. He thought he had Taz before.
Taz came first.
Dating.
Taz came before
I
Kylie.
came first. Taz is also my buddy. So he's a husky that we rescued, and then Bamboo somehow ended up picking me and then turned on me and now picked Brian. But Bamboo worked with me at the Pets Ahoy show at SeaWorld Orlando. So I did that show. Bamboo, come here. He's our shadow. He's always right here. We're like Brian's shadow.
This is Bamboo. He's the best.
Hi. So
Taz
Bamboo,
gets jealous.
yeah, Bamboo used to work with me at the show. He's a
Boy.
very smart boy, and he kind of picked me there. He followed me everywhere, and I fell in love with him, of course. And so he got to retire, and he got to come home with us. And about a week after we brought him home, Taz
is in it.
Hi. He likes all the attention too. But yeah, about a week after I brought him home, he decided that he loved Brian, and now he's. You do not fit up here, Taz. You are not a lap dog like Bamboo.
But yeah, Bamboo. They're both my dogs, pretty much for the most part.
No,
End
Taz
of story.
is mine. I think they switched.
All
And
right,
then we also have you. Can't forget about Malibu.
Oh, Malibu. We have a cat.
My baby Malibu is she's a rescued Maine Coon that I ended up with when I was in college, and so she has been through everything with me. She was definitely here before Brian was, so she sleeps with me every night. She's my baby. She photobombs some of the videos you see.
She has more cat hair in this house than husky hair, so don't get a Maine Coon, whatever you do.
She's the best.
All right, so moving on here. Bye-bye, Bamboo. This is from Becky, and her question is, I was just wondering if Mary Kate, which is our new cotton top tamarin that we have, came from SeaWorld Orlando. Back in 2010, they had a pair of cotton top tamarins named Mary Kate and Ashley, and I was wondering if this is the same one. Becky, yes, you are correct. Mary Kate did come from a company called Joel Slavens, who got hired a lot at SeaWorld to do shows with animals, and they did a thing there called Sea Gardens, where people would come through and get up-close personal encounters with some ambassador animals from SeaWorld and some ambassador animals from Joel Slavens. And Mary Kate did that for many, many years. She has since retired, and now she just lives out her life here, and I think Ashley is at another zoo. So they stopped getting along. They liked each other, and then they started to not like each other when they got a little older. So they're both doing amazing, and we actually really love Mary Kate.
Yeah, so. And that's actually the company I started working for full-time before I started Amazing Animals full-time. And so it's kind of fun to be able to take Mary Kate in. She's 12 and a half, just live in retirement with us. But I used to work with her at Joel Slavens Professional Animals. So yes, that was her. All right, so Hagen asks next, how much prep work goes into your vacations? I know you both are rarely leave the sanctuary together for an extended amount of time, and I know that you have volunteers, but how much do you leave for them? And that is a great question. It is definitely hard for us to get away from an extended period of time. Luckily, this year we were able to hire our part-time keeper, Siobhan. She has over 12 years of experience working with animals in zoological settings, so she has been really amazing. A lifesaver for us this year. I'm able to take a little bit of a break, have her once or twice a week come and care for all the animals. So she is very experienced, very knowledgeable. We do have volunteers that are a really great help too, but volunteers usually don't have the type of background and experience needed to work with a lot of the exotic animals. And then also having Siobhan on staff and here on a regular basis, it's really important for her to also get to know the animals and they can know her as well. So we don't leave for, I think, 5 days max.
Yeah, so if I go on a vacation with my family for a week and a half, that's okay as long as Kylie's here. Vice versa, as long as I'm here, Kylie can go away. For the longest time before we had Siobhan, we would literally only go away together for a night or two. That was our max. That we could you're just terrified the whole time you're on vacation, and then you're not having fun on vacation because all you are worried about what's going on at home. So with Siobhan, it definitely makes vacations more nice. We have had a cruise booked for the last 6 months. It's gotten canceled 3 times, but doggone it, we are going on that cruise, and it's a 5 or 6
Yeah, I think that's the longest.
That's the longest we've ever been away together since we've been together. So.
Yeah, since we've been doing this.
So hopefully we get to go on a 6-night cruise. It'll be amazing. But it keeps getting canceled. So we shall see. We shall see. This is a hard question because I don't really know the answer to it. So maybe you're going to have to help me. Donald asked us, what's the weirdest thing you have found the sloths doing? We walked in on a sloth giving birth. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's weird. We expected it. We knew she was pregnant. The weirdest thing, they're very funny animals. They're very lazy. They do sleep about 15 hours a day. And when they're not sleeping, they're pooping or eating. Pretty much that's all they do. So I don't know what the weirdest thing we've seen a sloth do.
I thought of two like kind of weird things that sloths just do in general. Luke, I'd say, does this more than Lily for sure. Sometimes he just like is like cruising around and he decides he wants to get someplace that a perch isn't there, and he'll crawl on the ground, which is very strange for a sloth. They're not usually on the ground now with us.
They army crawl.
Yeah, they don't have any like predators to worry about, so he's just like whatever, and he does this weird, crazy little army crawl across the ground. And when you see it, you're just like, what are you doing? That's probably, I would say, the weirdest. They also do a poop dance when they go.
They do.
They do a little dance.
They wiggle their butt when they poop.
So that's kind of funny, weird as well. Yeah.
True.
All right, so our next question is from Kat, and she asks, how do you prevent digging? And a lot of the animals do like to dig. Our foxes, our KV are definitely some big diggers. And the way that Brian has designed all the exhibits, there's actually wire going across all the bottoms of pretty much every exhibit, or they're up on a deck. So like our skunks are really good at digging. So for them, we just wanted to put them on a deck so they can, dig and play on that without escaping at all. And the other thing is you want to put the wire and make sure the exhibits are really secure, because you don't want other animals getting in as well. So there are other animals around, and so that way the wire's stapled all the way to the framework. You could technically pick up all of our exhibits and it would still be completely enclosed. And that's nice too for like the foxes who do like to dig. The wire's big enough they can dig a little bit, they can bury their food and do that natural behavior without actually escaping.
Yeah, the foxes have a 4-inch by 4-inch wire, so their legs fit in there. They can dig all they want, but then they just can't go anywhere past the 4-inch by 4-inch wire.
Yes.
So, and kind of something you just mentioned walks us right into our next question from Wani. Do you ever have any trouble with any wild animals coming into the preserve or the sanctuary? Trouble, not anymore. But yeah, it does definitely happen. We are out here in rural, right outside of Orlando in a little town called St. Cloud. I mean, it was a farming town, rural. We have a lot of land and a lot of woods, so there's going to be a lot of wildlife. When we very first started, we did have some ducks, and unfortunately, we don't have any ducks anymore. They just kind of got picked off by either a bobcat or a group of coyotes. We got King Arthur the donkey, because he really protects the barnyard and protects all the little guys in there. Everyone else is inside of an exhibit. We have built all the wire really small in most of the exhibits. If you have birds outside, you can get like raccoons will grab your birds and eat the heads off and stuff like that. The dogs actually help, letting the dogs out a couple times throughout the night. They keep a lot of the raccoons, possums away. But for the most part, we don't have a lot of issues with wild animals. Sometimes we think Willow, she starts to call when she's cycling. She has a little yelp and a call that she does, and we've been contemplating putting up some game trail cams in the back of the property, because we're pretty sure that she has a boyfriend bobcat. And Archie, definitely, Archie, our barred owl, he has a girlfriend. It's the coolest thing. I feel a little bad for her. It's kind of Romeo and Juliet situation. Archie is in an exhibit, and he's not getting out, and the girl comes almost every night and sits on his exhibit and just hangs out with him.
Yeah, we hear him talking to each
And
other.
we see her every night when the sun starts to set. She comes and flies in. If we go in the pool or the hot tub at night, she flies over and sits next to the pool or hot tub and just watches us like, what are you doing? I'm on a date with Archie. Can you quiet down over there?
Is that what she says?
That's, I think, what she says to us. So, but yeah, we have some really cool wildlife around here.
We do. We see lots of snakes and gators in the pond. I've seen an otter once. That was cool. So I love seeing the wildlife. And obviously we want to make sure our animals are safe around them. But we really, the exhibits are built well. Good job. So don't have to worry about that, and love seeing wildlife.
Yeah.
All right, so Sandy asks next, how do you prepare the food for all the animals every day, and how long does it take you to feed them all? And that is a great question. It is a lot of work getting the animals all fed and cared for properly every day. So I'm usually out by at least 7 a.m. every morning. We have been lucky enough that we are getting more produce donated, which is awesome because we do go through a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. You gotta chop them all up. We have specialty feeds for all of them. So it takes minimum of about 3 to 4 hours just to get the basic cleaning and feeding done in the morning, and then usually have some tours and kind of doing things to kind of catch up between it. But yeah, our animal fridge and freezer are constantly full, and we go through a whole fridge full every single week with all the animals.
Yeah, lots of food.
Yep.
So Robert asks, have you ever thought of getting a crocodile so you can show the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? We definitely have. The reason why I don't have any crocodiles right now is because there are some great parks right around us, like our friends at Gatorland. They specialize in alligators and crocodiles, and they have a ton of those animals, and they do a really, really good job. And we always want, like, when everyone goes left, I want to go right. I want to have something different. I want to be a little more unique. I don't want to do something that I feel like all the big zoos do. That's why we got our capybaras and we started doing capybara encounters, because we couldn't really find, there's not that many people that do capybara encounters. So we wanted to add something a little different, a little more unique. But I love crocodiles. They are amazing animals.
Yeah, and I think crocodiles scare me a little bit more. They're feisty.
They're cool.
So they're feisty. They're really cool, but they're feisty. All right. Stephen asks, any plans to add otters? I don't think so. Otters are adorable. They are super cute, but I know some friends that work with them, and they are stinky and gross, and I'm the one who has to take care of all of them. The water, yeah. Capybaras are enough. Otters eating fish are really gross. So, I mean, if we ever got called for one, we'd need a whole big water exhibit. So
that's why we said no to the beaver.
Yeah.
Was because the aquatic animals have a whole nother level of
care
stuff that you have to do. And to build the exhibit, we are trying to be physically responsible right now because of COVID. We aren't doing as many tours and shows as we have the last 3 years. So we expect the next 2 years to be lower funding wise. So that's why we're really pushing the barnyard help, because we really need to rebuild the barnyard, but we haven't done as many shows and tours this year. So it's a little hard financially, but we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
All right. So Miss Janie asked us, what is the first animal you ever rescued? And for me, not cat or dog, like more like for the facility, it started out with little reptiles. We had a ball python, a breeder dragon, and a tortoise. That basically was my first couple animals that I took in. I was still living with my parents in high school. And then people just kind of knew me as the reptile guy, and they would just give me reptiles and give me reptiles and give me reptiles. And I think someone asked how we started a little bit later, so I won't go into that. But it was just a couple little reptiles is what started us off.
Yes. All right, and Kong Zoo, we love Kong Zoo.
Love you, Kong.
Why is enrichment important for your animals? And yes, if you guys remember, we did a whole Kong Zoo enrichment fundraiser. We ordered a ton of new toys for the animals. Enrichment is one of my favorite things to do with them, so it's so important to keep animals mentally stimulated, mentally healthy, and enrichment is such an important key factor in that. And I kind of like to talk about our Quadamundi, Rocco. When we got him, he did a lot of stereotypical pacing, and it took about 4 months, but giving him new enrichment items, new things to play with, puzzle feeders, getting him thinking, trying to get out food, hiding food, sensory enrichment, doing different fun smells. Like he loves, I did the catnip spray the other day for him, he loved it. And then he stopped all that pacing. So enrichment, that just shows you how important it is for animals to be mentally stimulated. If they start pacing, if they start seeming really bored, they need new things to do. Just like you and I, animals are really smart. We like to do a lot of natural enrichment items. Kong Zoo has had some amazing fun puzzle feeders and things like that for them. So enrichment is something I do every single day with the animals.
And not just mental, but physical. You know, these animals, some of them naturally may walk 3 or 4 miles a day in the wild, but in our exhibits, they can't physically walk that far. But we can come up with different ways to get them to do something over and over and over again, that they don't feel like they're walking in the same place, but they're still getting the same physical stimulation that they would in the wild, but just doing it in a unique way inside of our tighter constraints of an exhibit. So Tim and Ellie both asked, how did we start Amazing Animals? So that's why I almost tried to answer it last time, but I cut myself off. So yeah, we started out with reptiles. And I started out with a couple of reptiles, and then people just kept giving me more reptiles. And I had about 25, maybe 30 little reptiles in my house. And I started the 501c3 just to do birthday parties on my weekends out of work. I was a dolphin trainer at the time, and I was doing reptile birthday parties on my weekends just to make money to feed the reptiles that I had, because I really wanted it to feed my hobby of owning a bunch of reptiles. And then it never ended, and it snowballed, and it kept getting more and more. And then I realized, hey, I'm really good at this. We can do this full time. We have something unique, and now we have what we have now.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, Andrea asked, how did we meet?
Oh, that's a nice one for you to answer.
I wonder if we have the same story. Well, we actually met working at Discovery Cove. I was a lifeguard in college, and Brian was this really loud, crazy dolphin trainer.
The coolest dolphin trainer.
No, I was like, this guy's really funny. He's kind of fun to hang out with. I remember sitting at lunch with him one day, and he was just cracking jokes, and then he kept bugging me to hang out with him more. And I finally caved.
I don't remember the story like that.
I finally caved. I was like, all right, this cool dolphin trainer.
And then I couldn't get rid of her.
Me. and hey, we ended up having a lot in common. Obviously, we work pretty good together when we're not trying to kill each other. But
yeah.
It's worked out well. That was 10 years ago. Yeah,
we live together. We work together. I'm Kylie's boss and her boyfriend. So it's a unique dynamic that there's sometimes we have to separate our relationship or separate work and work on the relationship, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
Balance, for sure.
And it's just always good to have one person that's just really smart in the relationship. That I'm just playing. All right, so
see, funny. He's funny.
Here we go. Or what are we on? Benny. Mr. Benny, what is the hardest animal to care for in your experience? That's a hard question. So everyone's personality is different, and everyone has different things that they like and dislike. And I think that what makes an animal hard is when your personality doesn't mesh well with that animal's needs and personality. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a hands-on person, I really like to be hands-on with my animals. So I would find it very hard to keep venomous snakes, and that's why I don't keep venomous snakes, because I would free handle them, and I know that, and it's not something that is very smart to do unless you're extremely that's something you do every day of your life, and I don't have time to free handle venomous snakes. So I think that having animals that don't fit your personality are the hardest to keep, because you want to do things that the animal doesn't want you to do, and vice versa. If you have an animal that needs to be handled every day, but you're the type of person that likes to have an animal and just look at it, like a chameleon. Like, chameleons are great just to look at. They're not the best animals to handle because they could stress out really easily. And if you're that person like me who likes to handle those animals, it would be really hard to keep a chameleon. So every single animal that we have we look at their natural history and their individual history. Their natural history is where they're from, where they're native to. You don't want to treat an animal from the Costa Rican rainforest like you would treat an animal from the Arizona desert. Like, you just don't want to treat them the same way. You don't want to give them the same things. They have such different natural things that they need to survive. So I think it's not hard to keep any animal, to be honest, as long as you do your research and you provide that animal with everything that they need. Where people get stuck when you say an animal's hard is when you try to cut corners. When you try to, well, this animal needs this, but I'm only going to do this. Or this animal requires this, but I know everyone tells me that the sloths can only go to this many temperature, but I'm going to let them go down to 50 degrees at night, and they're going to get sick and die. We get calls from people that they bought sloths on the internet, and their sloths are dead in 3 weeks. To me, that's a hard animal to keep because you didn't do the correct research, or you didn't do enough research and you listened to someone that didn't give you the best advice. So honestly, that's such a loaded question. But it all comes down to getting an animal that doesn't fit your personality is going to be the hardest animal for you to keep.
Yes.
So.
All right. So Caitlin asked, what other facilities have you been to or would love to visit? So the handful of times we do get to go on vacations together, we always go to a zoo, I think.
Yep.
We were just at Zoo Knoxville when we went to Tennessee. One of my favorite ones is the Georgia Aquarium. Just beautiful facility. We went last year and actually swam with the whale sharks there, so that's an amazing facility. If you guys haven't checked it out, go. What's one of your favorite zoos?
I go to a lot of conferences. Running a business like this, we have to network with other facilities and other people and learn about the newest, latest and greatest things and everything. So I'm part of the Feline Conservation Foundation, so we go to their conference every year, and a lot of their people own facilities. We're part of the Zoological Association of America. I'm a professional member with them, and they have a conference, and we go to their conferences and visit their facilities. And I'm a professional member of AZA, the big zoos, and the big zoos are where it's at. I mean, they have all the money. They have the coolest animals.
They have the pandas.
They have just the coolest stuff. With traveling to these other zoos and zoo conferences, I get to go behind the scenes a lot and see the behind the scenes work. And probably one of my favorite facilities has to be San Diego Zoo. I mean, I got to go 2/3 of the buildings there. And they do more behind the scenes than they do in front. There's just labs with every single DNA of every animal that they've ever had or didn't even have, just in storage in case they ever need them. And the breeding facilities of some of the most rarest and endangered reptiles in the world. So San Diego Zoo was really, really cool. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's beautiful. San Diego in general is just beautiful, so I think that helped. But
I'm jealous he got to go there on conference without me. I had to stay here and take care of all the animals. But we love visiting new places, and we kind of seen almost all the animals out there now. We love seeing the animals, but we also like seeing the setups of.
Yeah, we look at signs now. We're like, oh, look at the plants right there, and look how they built that. And the animals, we don't look at the animals anymore. We look at like everything that goes into the animal and the pathways, and it's really weird.
I love hearing the keeper talks and the training sessions that we can see, and seeing the animals interact with Enrichment, getting ideas from that. So that's why we love going to new zoos too.
Yeah.
All right, you're next.
I thought I just answered that. No.
Well, I asked it. You do.
Oh, okay.
Abby,
how old is Luke, Lily, and the cutest little baby Lima? And what's the oldest animal at your place? Do I even know the oldest animal at our place?
I don't know if we even know the oldest.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so Luke is around 5.
He's older than 5.
No, he's 5.
He's around 8.
No, he's not. He's 5. Lily is around 8.
Okay.
I'm right there, and Luke's younger than Lily. True story. So Luke is around 5, Lily's around 8, and baby Lima she's almost 5 months on the 28th, 23rd?
Yeah.
23rd, she'll be 5 months old. Hill, we're leaning Hill, be 5 months old. So Luke likes older women. Luke is 5, Lily is 8, Lima is 5 months. And the oldest animals at our place, we know that some snakes that I got were babies that I've had for 12, 13 years. We know that some of the primates that we have are over 12. Mm-hmm. We know that...
12 and a half. I would probably go
the
with
bush babies.
The bush babies are probably around the same as Mary Kate. I would say the tortoises, though. We've got a decent sized tortoise.
Oh, yeah, but we don't know how old he is.
Yeah, we have no idea.
He's huge. We have a huge tortoise. I'll call it a tortoise. He was found walking on the sidewalk, and so no one knows his birth date, but he could be 25, 30 years old.
Yeah.
So
and probably some of the parrots. I know Rio's probably around 20.
Rio's around 20, our parrot.
Kiwi's around 18.
Kiwi is around 18. The other ones we got with no history.
We don't really know
They're like parrots go from person to person to person to person, and then people lose how old they are. Mm-hmm. So we don't really know how old a lot of our animals are being rescued. If they were born here, we definitely know their age, or if they were born at a facility. we trust that their ages are correct. So.
Yes. And then our last question from Christopher kind of goes with the sloths. Will baby Lima, Lily, and dad Luke all be reunited someday? And with sloths, they're very solitary animals. So we do have Luke in his own exhibit right now, and he's doing all of our guest interactions, while Lily spends all of her time caring for little Lima. And, it's something that we considered, but we do, again, like to talk and connect and network with other facilities and make sure that we're taking the best care of our animals. And there's some amazing resources out there. So we talked with one of the head sloth people in the country, and she kind of gave us a different perspective. We were like, we might put them all together. Luke's really awesome. He's a very laid-back sloth. She said, they all might get along, but sloths are pregnant for almost a year, and they'll take care of their baby for almost a year. And if Luke decides to breed with Lily again right away, she could become pregnant again and still be taking care of Lima, and that could be a lot on her. So in the wild, they would kind of really stay apart. Mom would really stay away from any other sloths while she's raising her baby. And so when Lily is done raising Lima, she'll kind of let us know. She'll kick Lima off and won't let him on her again. And he's going to be almost full size. So I completely would understand why she wants to do that. So
it's called a natural separation. They're
yes.
going to naturally be done with one another.
Yes, and when we see her kind of showing us that, then we'll put Lily and Luke back together. But Lima will stay separate because, again, they wouldn't live in a family in the wild, and they're very solitary. And also for long-term breeding purposes, we don't want mom, daddy, and baby all living together. So Lima will stay separate in his exhibit, and Lily and Luke will go back together once she's done raising Lima.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that was all the questions we had. I mean, there was a lot. Thank you guys so much for giving us the opportunity. This was fun. It's going to be a longer vlog, and I don't think I'm going to edit it at all, so it's going to be easy. But thank you, everybody, for posting questions. We hope that we taught you something, or you kind of got a little bit more of an insight of who we are and what we do, and what makes us run, really.
Yeah, that was really fun. Really awesome questions, and kind of fun to, hear what you guys want to know from us.
Yeah.
So we had fun. I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. As always, be kind to one another and go out there and do something amazing.